So, good evening, everybody. And this is a real, at the outset, of course, it's a real pleasure for me to join this webinar of Dr. Sudhi Kamboj, who is ever smiling. I believe all her smiles relieve the pain of her patients and makes them smile again. Is it, Sudhi? We have a real eminent personality as a, I would say, expert Dr. Anurag. We are really privileged to have you in this webinar. And I just want to speak few words only. Everybody knows about you. It's nothing. It's like, क्या कहते हैं? सूरज को हम रोशनी दिखा रहे हैं. Something like this only.
Thank you.
Dr. Anurag did his graduation, post-graduation from Allahabad Medical College, and he is FRCS from the Royal College of Surgeons, Edinburgh. He is PhD from University of Wales, and he has also done his Masters in Public Health in Clinical Epidemiology from North Carolina. And he has done a distance learning course in medical education with Center of Medical Education from Scotland. He has been professor of surgery and head of surgical unit for 20 years at AIIMS Delhi. And we are proud of you, Dr. Anurag, that you are here with us in Meerut. And now you are Director, Subharti Institute of Cancer Management and Research at Swami Vivekanand Subharti University from 15th August 2023. And you have innumerable administrative experiences. And the most, of course, I would say the upcoming surgeons have been privileged because you have initiated the Department of Plastic Surgery and Burn Center at AIIMS. And you are the one who created the 3 new degree programs of MCH, of trauma surgery, MCH in breast and endocrine surgery, and MCH and in minimal SS surgery. So, Dr. Anurag, we welcome you all, and we welcome you especially to this webinar. And of course, everybody is welcome who is joining. And Dr. Sudhi would be she is the only, I would say, a female breast endocrine surgeon. We are really fortunate to have her here in Western UP. And all our patients are privileged to have a female surgeon as a breast surgeon, because the females are so conscious of all these things. And today she's going to talk on a very, I would say, an interesting topic which interests not only the surgeons and the breast surgeons, the gynecologists too, because this mastalgia is a very common complaint. I would not say very common, but often the patient comes to us, and we just start taking a history because we as gynecologists only know the cyclical mastalgia, which usually occurs in the luteal phase. And so we just, of course, it's not only a history. We do examine the breast, but I know you all would say that just examination is not enough, because I think your American Cancer Society does not recommend a physical examination. You all go for mammography. But we gynecologists till now have been learning that a just simple breast examination should be done. So all these patients coming for as mastalgia, we do examine their breasts in a sitting position or supine position. And if there's nothing, we just reassure them, or just give them vitamin E, or we often, at least I often keep them on combined oral contraceptives so that the luteal phase problem goes away. But what we are bothered is for that non-cyclic pain. That is when we are alarmed. We do examine them, and of course, some nodularity felt. I just cannot comment on a fibroadenosis or of something else, because less than 10% can be carcinoma too. So that is what you all come in and help us. And so I believe that all gynecologists should understand that, please, non-cyclical pain, and especially when you are not very sure of your physical examination, do send your patients for mammography and refer them to breast surgeons. That is it, what I believe in. Okay, Dr.
Yeah.
Sudhi, I think you should begin your talk and let us get the advantage of what we have missed. Sudhi, not audible.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I think now I am audible. So first of
Yeah.
all, a very, very good evening to all the participants. I'm so glad to see you once again. And first of all, I'm extremely sorry for past 2 months. Me and my team was not able to conduct the meetings, which were routine, because of some very, very important reasons. But please be assured that from now onwards, we are active again with more zeal and enthusiasm and with more and more topics in line which are of clinical importance for you as a breast as well as endocrine specialist. So, friends, those who are new to this program, those who are new to this forum, Brandos is the Breast and Endocrine Society, which initially started with the Western Uttar Pradesh, but now it has a pan-India impact. So we have more than 500 and now reaching around 600 participants, not only from India, but also from overseas. So we are looking forward for more such milestones. Right now, it's an online forum where we connect on WhatsApp and we conduct online monthly meetings. The benefit of conducting online monthly meetings that there is no regional bar. So we all the clinicians with a special interest in breast and endocrine, we all connect together on the last Friday of the month at 7 p.m. and we discuss about breast and endocrine related problems. So on even months we have breast meetings, on odd months we have endocrine meetings. So we have a balance, and in these meetings, we do a problem-based learning. So we pick up clinical problem of clinical importance. We discuss about that problem in detail, most of the time with actual radiology, pathology images, because Brandos is a multidisciplinary program. We have endocrine surgeons, we have endocrinologists, we have pathologists, radiologists, nuclear medicine physicians, general surgeons, general physicians, gynecologists. You just name the specialty, and that specialty is with us in Brandos, because we know endocrine and breast, they have a huge impact, especially endocrine. Almost all the organ system is important. Every clinician who just want to improve themselves, they want to learn more about these endocrine pathologies, which we discuss in these forums. So we discuss with all the clinicians who are actually involved in the management of such cases, and we try to understand everyone's view, and so that we can enhance our learning. Why to do? So that we can become more able clinician as a doctor in our own field to manage such cases. So Brandos provide us this opportunity. So all our meetings are recorded and we put them on our channel. The links are shared later on. Anyone who by chance is not able to attend the meeting, or as to disconnect the meeting in between, or they want to revisit the topic again, they can very well go back and see the whole discussion again. We don't go very hi-fi. We try to make the things very simple. And the ultimate aim is to use that information for a clinical application. So we try to keep it simplified. We don't go very hi-fi. We just analyze the thing and we put the information in front of the participants in a very simplified way. So today also we are going to do the same. Today I'm sharing my screen. Now I'm sharing my screen. Everyone, please hold on.
मैं अपील करना चाहूंगा कि इसको ब्रेस्ट एंड एंडोक्राइन सर्जन ही ना कहे, ब्रेस्ट एंडोक्राइन फिजिशियंस, क्योंकि अगर आप देखें तो 70% of the diseases of the breast and also of the thyroid can be dealt with by drugs and some reassurance and some lifestyle change, weight reduction, diet change, flax seeds, and some herbal treatment. So we should, I think, involve physicians also. So
Yes.
not just confined to breast endocrine surgeons. Involve in Mayo Clinic. The first encounter is a lady doctor who is a MD medicine, internal physician, and they investigate. And when there is a surgical problem, then only they refer to surgeon. Otherwise, they deal with it. Like breast pain, you can deal. Physiological nipple discharge, you can deal. Fibroadenomas, majority you can deal. So we should involve physicians and particularly general practitioners.
Certainly, sir, you are absolutely right. So we have physicians with us, and as you said, surgery is a very extreme thing because always try to manage the patient with the medical management. In case we feel the only answer is surgery or patient is not responding to treatment, only then we sort for surgical treatment. Otherwise, most of the patients are treated with the medicine only. And through this program and otherwise also, we have medical specialists with as a team. We work for each and every patient so that we can provide the best possible treatment to them. Okay, so before I start the treatment, sorry. Before I start the presentation, again, I would like to thank the faculties, especially Kirti ma'am and Anurag sir. And I was telling my team that today we have two stalwarts in their own field, and they are national. They are the faculties of national and international fame. Thank you very much, Kirti ma'am and Anurag sir. And
Thank you.
Those who, though Kirti ma'am doesn't need any introduction because, as I already told, she is a teacher of teachers, and I would fail in my duty if I don't introduce her. Everyone, she is the ex-principal and professor LLRM Medical College. She is the past president of Merit Obs and Gynae Society with more than 35 years of teaching experience. She has a very good upper hand in research and publication, so many researches in her name. She is always often invited as a guest speaker in the national and international forums, actively involved in research in the field of reproductive medicine with an special interest in high-risk pregnancy. And it's a matter of honor to all the clinicians in Western Uttar Pradesh. Now she is the president. She's elected as a president UPCOG recently in 2024. So she is the new president.
Thank you, Sri. That's all. That's all. Thank you so much.
I want to please give her a big round of applause because it is a matter of great honor for each one of us. And now, believe me, friends, by the time जैसे आप इस मीटिंग को अटेंड करेंगे, what we are doing, we will try to educate you regarding, not only educate you regarding mastalgia, it's a sort of training in how we should deal with mastalgia patients. So we are going to learn a lot from today's presentation. So please stay connected with us. And जब मैं ये presentation शुरू करूं, उससे पहले मैं आपको चाहूंगी कि आप लोग ये वीडियो जरूर देखें. तो ये वीडियो है courtesy Anurag Srivastava sir. As I told, he is one of the stalwarts in the management of breast diseases. He is teacher of teachers. He is mentor of mentors. और सर का बहुत काम है, not only national, international level पे he has great fame. And courtesy sir, he is so humble, like at such a high status, like he is so humble, and this is something what I appreciate the most.
We shall explain this concept through some anatomical facts.
Is the sound audible?
There are 7 to 8 lobes in each breast. The benign breast disease has been explained in this video animation. ANDI is an acronym for aberration in normal development and involution. This concept was first initiated by experts in benign breast disease at Cardiff Breast Unit, led by Professor Ellie Hughes, Robert Mansell, and David Webster. This concept allows us to understand most of the symptoms and presentation of patients suffering from benign breast disease. It is thought that nodularity of the breast, nipple discharge, mastalgia, small lumps in the breast like fibroadenoma, duct papilloma, and breast cysts can all be explained with this pathophysiological concept of ANDI. We shall explain this concept through some anatomical facts. There are 7 to 8 lobes in each breast. These are arranged like bunch of grapes, each grape representing the milk gland or acinus, and the stalk represents the major milk duct opening at the nipple. Each lobe contains 10 to 40 lobules, which in turn are composed of 10 to 100 acini. These acini are the basic secretory unit of the breast. The terminal ducts, together with the lobules, constitute terminal ductal lobular unit, known by the acronym TDLU. TDLU is the most hormone responsive and most active part of the mammary gland. The epithelial lining of the ducts and acini has a luminal and a basal cell layer. The growth of these cells is controlled by the hormones estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen causes development of the ducts and stroma with fat deposition. Progesterone causes maturation and branching of the ductolobular system primed by the estrogen. It also causes secretion within the acinus. Progesterone is also responsible for retention of water within the breast stroma. The blood levels of estrogen and progesterone change with the menstrual cycle. From day 0 of the menstrual cycle, there is a rise in level of estrogen with formation of Graafian follicle in the follicular phase. Lobules are quiescent in this phase. In the post-ovulatory phase, there is a second peak of estrogen along with rising levels of progesterone from corpus luteum. These hormones result in proliferation of cells of the ductolobular epithelium along with increased number of acini. Moreover, there is increase in the fat and water content within the breast stroma. The net result of these changes is an increase in the breast volume, compelling some ladies to even change their garment to a larger size. The increase in breast volume causes pressure on the pain nerve endings, resulting in breast pain or discomfort. This is called mastalgia. In some degree, this mastalgia is a normal physiological response. However, when it becomes severe and lasts for more than a week, disturbing the activities of daily life, we need to consider it as pathological and treat it. Initially, in most women, there is a uniform growth of cells throughout the breast. Later on, some cells become hyper-responsive to the hormones, resulting in more growth of the ducts and alveoli in some area, resulting in nodularity. If you examine a lady with nodularity in the premenstrual phase, you will encounter pea-sized, often tender nodules scattered throughout the breast with soft and supple breast tissue in between. Marked growth of ductolobular cells along with the stroma in a localized manner may result in formation of a discrete lump in the breast called fibroadenoma. Fibroadenoma is not a true neoplasm and is now considered as part of ND manifestation. This view is supported by the fact that some girls experience increased growth of fibroadenoma in the premenstrual phase and reduction in the size after the onset of menstrual flow. Proliferation of the ductal epithelium leads to ductal hyperplasia, which may result in increased secretion presenting as physiological nipple discharge in some ladies. Localized growth of cells within a dilated duct leads to a papilloma formation. It has a central fibrovascular core and papillae lined by myoepithelial and luminal cells. Sometimes the papilloma may undergo infarction by torsion of the stalk, resulting in bloody nipple discharge. In the perimenopausal period, involuntary changes with overgrowth of the fibroconnective tissue around the ducts leads to ductal blockade. Dilatation and unfolding of the lobules along with pent-up secretion result in cyst formation. Initially, microscopic cysts are formed. Many such microscopic cysts may join to form a macrocyst. Thus, we can appreciate that ND concept enables us to understand the mechanism of most of the benign breast symptoms, mainly the breast pain, nodularity, the change in breast size, nipple discharge, formation of fibroadenoma, breast cysts, and duct papilloma. Thank you.
It has been really a very good video. I mean, it is just seeing and hearing the video has been so informative.
Yeah, certainly. And
Ma'am, it is given in the new edition of Bailey and Love, ma'am. In the
Okay.
Bailey and Love,
Yeah.
28th edition, this
Okay.
video is attached. So we have
Okay.
attached many videos. This is the first one.
It is really very good, very informative. Very. So one thing I would like to ask:
Thank you.
can I put up a question just here only?
sure, ma'am.
You know, what you just this video just tells about fibroadenoma. What is fibroadenosis? How is that formed?
फाइब्रोएडनोसिस टर्म आप यूज नहीं करते हम लोग मैम, उसको
अच्छा।
कहते हैं नोडुलर ब्रेस्ट डिजीज। तो ब्रेस्ट नोडुलैरिटी जो दिखाया है ना, पी
अच्छा,
साइज टेंडर नोड्यूल्स
हाँ, हाँ,
स्कैटर्ड
हाँ।
थ्रूआउट द ब्रेस्ट, उसको
वही
अब
है
हम लोग नया टर्म है
हम्म,
ब्रेस्ट पेन विद नोडुलैरिटी, ब्रेस्ट पेन विदाउट नोडुलैरिटी।
ओके,
तो फाइब्रोएडनोसिस वर्ड अब हम लोग नहीं यूज
खत्म है।
करते,
ओके,
हाँ हाँ, उसकी जगह यूज करते हैं मेस्टैल्जिया है विद नोडुलैरिटी विदाउट नोडुलैरिटी।
ओके, थैंक यू
जी
सर।
मैम, जी
Thank you
नमस्कार।
very much, sir. Sir, सबसे पहले तो it's very important and I must like to thank you कि because of this video, most of my work is now easy. बताना बहुत ही आसान हो गया, लोगों को समझना बहुत आसान हो गया। तो अगर हम इस प्रेजेंटेशन की शुरुआत करें and friends, please we promise like इसके बाद we are gonna have a good round of question and answers. So जो भी कुछ अगर छूट जाता है इस प्रेजेंटेशन में, so our experts are there to answer your questions. So please अपने questions आप ready कर सकते हैं. If you want to put them into chat box, आप उस पे रख सकते हैं. If you want to write and want to ask in person directly from the experts, so you will get full opportunity for this. Okay? तो अब मेस्टेल्जिया या ब्रेस्ट पेन के बारे में जानना हमारे लिए क्यों इम्पोर्टेंट है? ये इसलिए इम्पोर्टेंट है बिकॉज इफ यू आर रनिंग अ ब्रेस्ट क्लिनिक और द पेशेंट्स ऑफ ब्रेस्ट पैथोलॉजीज आर कमिंग टू यू, अराउंड 2/3 मोस्ट ऑफ द पेशेंट्स, अगर आपके पास 100 पेशेंट्स आ रहे हैं तो 70 से 80% मरीज उसमें किसी ना किसी तरह का ब्रेस्ट पेन कंप्लेन करेगा आपको। अराउंड 70 to 80% ऑफ फीमेल्स एक्सपीरियंस करती है ब्रेस्ट पेन समवेयर इन द लाइफ टाइम। एंड you know, pain has a very negative impact on a day-to-day life and well-being. Though it is a benign condition, most of the breast pains are never associated with cancer. It is a benign condition, but because something is happening in the breast, these patients are always worried or apprehensive about developing some sort of malignancy or pathologies in their breast. So they are always concerned, and which has a negative impact on their sexuality, in the physical and social activities. So that is why it is very important to know about breast pain. तो अगर ब्रेस्ट पेन की हम बात करें उससे पहले इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू डू अ क्विक रिकैप ऑफ द बेसिक एनाटॉमी एंड द फिजियोलॉजी ऑफ द ब्रेस्ट। वी नो ब्रेस्ट है, इट इज एन एक्सोक्रीन ग्लैंड, इट इज एन एक्टोडर्मल ऑर्गन विच इज प्रेजेंट ऑन द चेस्ट वॉल। तो ये बनता कैसे है? ये बनता है बिकॉज इट इज अ ग्लैंड, इट हैज लोब्यूल्स, इट हैज डक्ट्स। इसके अलावा इसको सपोर्ट करता है स्ट्रोमा, इसको सपोर्ट करता है फैटी टिश्यू एंड सस्पेंसरी लिगामेंट, जिसको हम कहते हैं कूपर्स लिगामेंट। इसको सप्लाई आती है, ब्लड मस्कुलर सप्लाई होती है, आर्टरीज, वेन्स, न्यूरोलॉजिकल सप्लाई होती है थ्रू नर्व्स। अब ये ऊपर से कवर्ड होता है विद स्किन एंड सबक्यूटेनियस टिश्यू, और पीछे से इट इज सपोर्टेड बाय द चेस्ट वॉल मसल्स, रिब केज, उसके पीछे होता है प्लूरा, उसके पीछे होता है लंग, और लेफ्ट साइड में इट विल बी हार्ट, पेरिकार्डियम, and then there is esophagus and some mediastinal structures. So in the region of the breast, these structures are present. So now, friends, there could be many versions of this type of explanation. This is my version. I'm trying to simplify it ताकि हम ज्यादा से ज्यादा अंडरस्टैंड करें। तो अगर हम इस सारी चीजों को क्लासीफाई करें तो वी नो कि there are memory causes and there are extra memory type of मेस्टेल्जिया। तो मैम ने जो एक पुट किया कि साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया इट्स इजी फॉर देम टू मैनेज, बट ये हमेशा प्रॉब्लम आती है फॉर नॉन साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया। एंड आई ट्राई टू टच एन इम्पॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट वेरी ब्रीफ अबाउट नॉन साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया ऑल्सो। तो मेमोरीज में हमारे पास होता है डक्ट्स है, लॉब्यूल्स है, इसके अलावा पैरेन्काइमा हो गया। तो अगर हम इसको और थोड़ा सा क्लासीफाई करें तो डक्ट्स और लॉब्यूल्स एक ट्रू मेमोरी हो गए, और पैरेंकाइमा फॉल्स मेमोरी तो नहीं कह सकते, बट हाँ दीज आर नॉट द ट्रू मेमोरीज, दीज आर द सपोर्टिव टिश्यू। इसके अलावा हो गया एक्स्ट्रा मेमोरी। एक्स्ट्रा मेमोरी में चेस्ट वॉल हो गया है, रिब केज है, प्लूरा, लंग, हार्ट, these are the extra memory, these are not directly related to the breast. अब हम टीडीएलयू कंसेप्ट, टीडीएलयू कंसेप्ट का आपने इतना अच्छा वीडियो देखा, तो ये तो बहुत ही जस्ट बेसिक कंसेप्ट, ये एक फंक्शनल यूनिट होती है ब्रेस्ट की। ये टीडीएलयू आपको आना बहुत जरूरी है, ठीक है, बिकॉज इट इज द फंक्शनल यूनिट। ज्यादातर पैथोलॉजी जो ब्रेस्ट में डेवलप होती है ये इसी एरिया में डेवलप, और ये मोस्ट हार्मोन रिस्पॉन्सिव पार्ट होता है, और ज्यादातर प्रॉब्लम बीट बिनाइन और मैलिग्नेंट, वी नो मोस्ट ऑफ द डिजीजेस आर बिनाइन देन मैलिग्नेंसी, बट मोस्ट ऑफ द डिजीजेस अराइज इन दिस एरिया। तो यहीं पर हमारी मेस्टेल्जिया की पैथोलॉजी भी अराइज होती है। अब फिजियोलॉजी, फिजियोलॉजी में भी सर ने बताया ईस्ट्रोजन प्रोजेस्टेरोन, सर ने टच किया उसको, और बहुत ही अच्छा डिस्क्रिप्शन था। यही डिस्क्रिप्शन हम यहाँ पे भी देखेंगे इन अ वेरी ब्रीफ, नीड नॉट टू गो इनटू डिटेल। ओके, तो जो ब्रेस्ट होता है इट इज ड्रिवन बाय 3 इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर्स, ईस्ट्रोजन, प्रोजेस्टेरोन, प्रोलैक्टिन, है ना, प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड बिकॉज दे हैव एन इम्पैक्ट इन द मैनेजमेंट। इसके अलावा देयर आर कुछ सपोर्टिव हार्मोन्स होते हैं, लाइक थायराइड हार्मोन होते हैं, इंसुलिन, स्टीरॉइड, ग्रोथ हार्मोन्स, दे आर माइनर, दे डोंट हैव वेरी डायरेक्ट इफेक्ट ऑन द ब्रेस्ट, बट they manipulate the effect of estrogen, progesterone and prolactin। ब्रेस्ट पे जो इफेक्ट होता है उसको थोड़ा सा मैनिपुलेट या इम्प्रूव करते हैं। तो अब ये डायग्रामेटिक रिप्रेजेंटेशन है जो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम शेयरिंग विद यू। तो जैसे ईस्ट्रोजन है, वी नो इन्फेंटाइल ब्रेस्ट होता है, धीरे धीरे उसमें ब्रेस्ट बर्ड स्टार्ट हो, तो ईस्ट्रोजन क्या करेगा, ईस्ट्रोजन इज द फर्स्ट हार्मोन दैट स्टार्ट सिक्रीटिंग, तो ये इंड्यूस करेगा डक्ट का डेवलपमेंट, तो डक्ट्स है दे स्टार्ट इलोंगेटिंग। इसके अलावा ये स्ट्रोमल डेवलपमेंट शुरू कर देगा। वस्कुलरिटी, बिकॉज दीज आर द ग्रोइंग बर्ड्स, दे नीड न्यूट्रिशन, तो इसके लिए वहां पे वस्कुलरिटी को बढ़ाने की कोशिश करेगा। एंड डिपोजिशन ऑफ ब्रेस्ट फैट, तो ब्रेस्ट है वो धीरे धीरे इंक्रीज इन साइज होने लगेगा। अब बाद में जब मेंस्ट्रुअल फेज स्टार्ट हो जाता है, मिनार्की शुरू हो जाती है, तो प्रोजेस्टेरोन फेज भी शुरू हो जाता है। सो प्रोजेस्टेरोन हार्मोन क्या करेगा, ये लोब्यूलो एल्वुलर डेवलपमेंट करेगा। लोब्यूलो एल्वुलर डेवलपमेंट जो टिप्स है ये थोड़े से और ब्रॉड होने लगेंगे, मोटे होने लगेंगे। एंड साइड डक्ट ब्रांचिंग, तो इसमें क्या था कि सिंगल डक्ट वाज इलॉन्गेटिंग, यहाँ पे साइड डक्ट्स भी शुरू कर देगा। दिस इज डन बाय प्रोजेस्टेरोन, और इससे ड्यू टू एल्वुलर प्रोलिफरेशन और फ्लूइड रिटेंशन करता है, साथ ही साथ प्रोलिफरेशन एंड सिक्रीशन इन लॉब्यूल्स। लॉब्यूल्स को ये धीरे धीरे मैच्योर करना शुरू कर देता है, सो दैट क्योंकि अब मिनार्की शुरू हो गई, एनी टाइम प्रेगनेंसी कमेंसेस, तो दीज ब्रेस्ट बर्ड्स, ब्रेस्ट टिश्यूज एंड लॉब्यूल्स आर मैच्योर इनफ कि प्रोलैक्टिन उन पे एक्शन कर सके और लैक्टोजेनिक डिफरेंशिएशन स्टार्ट कर सके। तो ये काम होता है प्रोजेस्टेरोन का। फिर प्रोलैक्टिन क्या करता है, ये भी एल्वुलर डेवलपमेंट और अच्छा कर देगा, थोड़ा और उनको मैच्योर करेगा, साथ ही साथ उनको तैयार करेगा फॉर लैक्टोजेनिक डिफरेंशिएशन। और जैसा मैंने कहा, थायराइड हार्मोन, इंसुलिन, स्टीरॉइड, ग्रोथ हार्मोन, इनका डायरेक्ट रोल नहीं है, they have a minor role, but they have a significant influence in the action of estrogen, progesterone and prolactin। तो वी नो ये डायग्राम बहुत ही कॉमन है, सारे क्लिनिशियंस, गायनेकोलॉजिस्ट सबको ये पता है कि ये ईस्ट्रोजन फेज होता है, फिर ओव्यूलेशन के बाद प्रोजेस्टेरोनिक फेज शुरू होता है, फिर एक फेज के बाद दोनों ही डिक्लाइन कर जाएंगे, ईस्ट्रोजन, प्रोजेस्टेरोन। तो ये जो इफेक्ट होता है इसका ब्रेस्ट पे भी होता है। तो जब ईस्ट्रोजेनिक फेज होता है तो उसमें प्रोलिफरेशन होता है, डक्टुलर प्रोजेस्टेरोन होने से सिक्रीटरी फेज बढ़ जाएगा, एल्वुलर फेज बढ़ जाएगा, वाटर रिटेंशन बढ़ जाएगा, और बाद में फिर वो धीरे धीरे इन्वोल्यूशन फेज में आता है। तो अगर मैं कहूं ब्रेस्ट इज अ डायनेमिक स्ट्रक्चर, तो ये गलत नहीं होगा, है ना। ब्रेस्ट इज अ डायनेमिक स्ट्रक्चर बिकॉज जैसे ही थिलार्की स्टार्ट होती है या पुबर्टी स्टार्ट होती है, तब से लेके मीनोपॉज तक ब्रेस्ट में कुछ ना कुछ चेंजेस चलते रहते हैं। इट्स नॉट लाइक कि ब्रेस्ट इतना साइज हो गया तो इट्स डन, उसमें चेंजेस चलते रहते हैं, पहले डेवलपमेंट होगा, बाद में इन्वोल्यूशन होगा, उसके बीच में भी देयर आर ऑलवेज साइक्लिकल चेंजेस। Every menstrual cycle there is some cyclical change। ल्यूटियल फॉलिकुलर फेज में वो बढ़ेगा, प्रोजेस्टेरोन सिक्रीटरी फेज में वो मैच्योर होगा, और बाद में दोनों भी कम होगा, तो ये चलता रहता है। एंड दिस इज वन ऑफ द रीजन व्हाई वी सी सिस्ट या बहुत सारी दूसरी एबनॉर्मलिटीज हम देखते हैं। प्रेगनेंसी लैक्टेशन में इस पे ड्रामेटिक चेंजेस आते हैं, ब्रेस्ट में ड्रामेटिक चेंजेस आते हैं, और जब ये फेज खत्म होते हैं तो वापस से ये इन्वॉल्व करते हैं। सो ब्रेस्ट इज ऑलवेज अंडर सम स्ट्रेस, कुछ ना कुछ एक्टिविटी चलती रहती है, इट इज ऑलवेज एक्टिव. सो इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड कि द एब्सोल्यूट वैल्यूज ऑफ ईस्ट्रोजन, प्रोजेस्टेरॉन एंड प्रोलैक्टिन नॉट ऑलवेज इंपॉर्टेंट. एब्सोल्यूट वैल्यू इज नॉट ऑलवेज इंपॉर्टेंट. आपको एबनॉर्मलिटी मिल सकती है इनके ब्लड लेवल्स में, बट इट इज नॉट ऑलवेज देयर. व्हाट वी आर मोर interested in or what is more important is the relative ratio. इनका रिलेटिव रेशियो क्या है? जिस वक्त ईस्ट्रोजन को सपोज किसी लेवल पर होना चाहिए, प्रोजेस्टेरॉन को उस पर्टिकुलर दूसरे लेवल पर होना चाहिए. जब इनका रेशियो गड़बड़ हो जाता है, देन स्टार्ट्स द प्रॉब्लम. सो एंडी के बारे में बताया. एंडी है पिक्सल वाला ने ऑलरेडी टोल्ड. बहुत डिटेल में मैं नहीं बताऊंगी इसे. मैं बस इसमें ये बताऊंगी कि जो साइक्लिकल चेंजेस होते हैं ब्रेस्ट में, उसकी वजह से पेशेंट को पेन होता है, उसकी वजह से थोड़ा गठीलापन आता है, लेकिन वो नॉर्मल है. ज्यादातर केसेस में नॉर्मल है. लेकिन जब वो इस फेज में आ जाए जहां पेशेंट कंप्लेन करने लगे, उसकी डे टू डे एक्टिविटी में प्रॉब्लम आने लगे, तब जाके हम उसको कहते हैं कि कुछ एबनॉर्मलिटी है. अब क्या ये डिजीज है या ये थोड़ा सा एबनॉर्मलिटी है? दिस एबनॉर्मलिटी इज कॉल्ड एब्रेशन. When there is a full-blown disease, then we call it as disease. So aberration में there is slight deviation from the normal, but it is not disease. ठीक है? So इसी स्पेक्ट्रम में आता है like fibroadenoma. Sir has said it is not a true neoplasm. यहाँ पे there is some abnormal focal proliferation and deposition of stroma and the parenchyma, which leads to some गठीलापन, some गांठ. That is a discrete lump. और जब वहां पे सिर्फ गठीलापन होता है, जब अल्ट्रासाउंड करते हैं और हम देखते हैं कि वहां पे सिर्फ गठीलापन है, बट इज नॉट डिस्क्रीट लंप, देन इट इज एब्रेशन. ओके. और सिमिलरली पेन, हल्का पेन है, नॉर्मल है, वी आर ओके. बट अगर पेन ज्यादा होता है, देन इट इज ऑफ कंसर्न. तो हम डिफाइन करें मेस्टेल्जिया. मेस्टेल्जिया होता है एनी पेनफुल कंडीशन ऑफ द ब्रेस्ट, दैट इज मेस्टेल्जिया, सिंपल. बट व्हेन शुड वी लेबल एनी मेस्टेल्जिया एज सिग्निफिकेंट? क्योंकि मैंने कहा ये फिजियोलॉजिकल भी हो सकता है. तो जैसा सर ने बताया है, अगर वो पेन मोर देन 7 days इन अ मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल चले, या फिर अगर हम विजुअल एनालॉग स्केल यूज करते हैं, जैसे कई क्लिनिशियंस करते हैं, वो मोर देन 3 हो ऑन एनी विजुअल एनालॉग स्केल, या वो पेन उसको इंटरफेयर कर रहा है इन अ डे टू डे लाइफ, देन इट बिकम्स सिग्निफिकेंट टू द एक्सटेंट दैट शी रिक्वायर्स सम सॉर्ट ऑफ ट्रीटमेंट. तो अब हम ईटियोलॉजी समझते हैं. ईटियोलॉजी सर ने बताई है, मैं थोड़ा सा इलेबोरेट करूंगी कि 4 इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर्स आप मोटा मोटा मानते हैं. हार्मोनल सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट, हार्मोनल फैक्टर्स. इसके अलावा ब्रेस्ट में इन्फेक्शन हो सकता है, इन्फ्लेमेशन, ट्रॉमा और ट्यूमर. अब कैसे? हम इसको डिवाइड करते हैं एंडोक्रीन फैक्टर्स और नॉन एंडोक्रीन. तो एंडोक्रीन फैक्टर्स में कोई भी फैक्टर जो हमारा एचपी गोनाडल एक्सिस को डिस्टर्ब कर रहा हो, जैसे हार्मोन रिप्लेसमेंट थेरेपी हो सकती है, या फिर ओरल कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव पिल्स हो सकते हैं, इमरजेंसी कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव पिल्स होते हैं जो फीमेल्स लेती है. तो ये कंडीशन में जो एचपी गोनाडल एक्सिस है वो डिस्टर्ब हो जाते हैं. ऑल्टर्ड प्रोलैक्टिन लेवल्स, जैसे कि हम बात करते हैं गैलेक्टोरिया की, तो उस वक्त ये प्रोलैक्टिन लेवल्स ऑल्टर्ड हो जाते हैं, तब ये क्लियर कट एंडोक्रीन फैक्टर्स है. But most of the time, we don't find any clear-cut endocrine factors. There are non-endocrine factors which create disturbances at the level of the receptors. तो वो hormones को disturb करते हैं at the level of receptors. Therefore, blood levels में जो hormones होंगे वो हमें normal मिलेंगे, but हमारे receptors के level पर उनकी sensitivity में changes होते हैं. How? जैसे कि अब इसमें देखिए, इसमें बहुत सारी चीजें हैं जो हम डे टू डे लाइफ में एक्सपीरियंस करते हैं. मिथाइल ज़ैंथीन, कैफीन, निकोटीन, स्ट्रेस, सेडेंटरी लाइफस्टाइल. मिथाइल ज़ैंथीन होता है कोला, पेप्सी, टॉफी, चॉकलेट, कैफीन से रिलेटेड कोई भी चीज है, ये सारी चीजें. निकोटीन, कितना चलन चल गया है कि निकोटीन रिलेटेड फीमेल्स आर यूजिंग निकोटीन इन स्मोकिंग. स्ट्रेस, फीमेल्स में स्ट्रेस बहुत बढ़ गया, सेडेंटरी लाइफस्टाइल बच्चों में बहुत ज्यादा हो गया. So we can correlate with this in a day-to-day surrounding. अब ये करते क्या है? ये करते हैं साइक्लिक EMP mediated events, मतलब सेलुलर प्रोलिफरेशन बढ़ा देंगे. कैसे करेंगे? कैटेकोलामीन्स की सुपर सेंसिटिविटी कर देते हैं. जब हमारी बॉडी में ज्यादा होता है तो हमारे कैटेकोलामीन्स जो नॉर्मल सर्कुलेटिंग हार्मोन उसको थोड़ा सा डिस्टर्ब करेंगे, उनके रिसेप्टर्स को डिस्टर्ब करेंगे। साइक्लिक एएमपी हमें पता है कि सेल मेम्ब्रेन पर होती है, तो वहां पे गड़बड़ शुरू हो जाती है। अब एज आई टोल्ड, मैं बहुत डिटेल में नहीं जाऊंगी इस चीज की, क्योंकि हमें सिर्फ एक मोटा अंदाजा लेना है कि ये होता कैसे, और हमारी क्लिनिकल प्रैक्टिस पे इसका एक इम्पैक्ट होना चाहिए। अच्छा, दूसरा इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर है डाइट रिच इन सैचुरेटेड फैट, कार्बोहाइड्रेट, ओबेसिटी, अल्कोहल। नाउ देयर वाज अ टाइम जब शुरुआत में, बिकॉज रिसर्चर्स आर कंटिन्यूअसली वर्किंग ऑन क्या प्रॉब्लम है, क्यों होती है, कैसे इसको रिलीव करें। सो अर्लियर वी यूज्ड टू थिंक कि फैट है, ओबेसिटी, इट लीड्स टू इंक्रीज ईस्ट्रोजन लेवल्स इन द ब्लड, जिसकी वजह से ईस्ट्रोजन ऐसे प्रोलिफरेशन होता है और पेन होता है। बट लेटर ऑन दे रियलाइज दैट दिस what this saturated fat, obesity, alcohol cause? They cause the imbalance in the ratio of saturated to unsaturated fatty acid. अब जो अनसैचुरेटेड फैटी एसिड होता है वो हमारे सेल मेम्ब्रेन्स पर होता है, लिपिड्स में होता है, जो कि हेल्प करता है बहुत सारी एक्टिविटीज जो सेलुलर लेवल पर होती है। तो इससे सेल मेम्ब्रेन के रिसेप्टर्स अफेक्ट हो जाते हैं, और रिसेप्टर्स सुपर सेंसिटिव हो जाते हैं टू नॉर्मल लेवल ऑफ ईस्ट्रोजन एंड प्रोजेस्टेरोन। तो यहाँ पे गड़बड़ शुरू हो जाती है। अब आयोडीन डेफिशिएंसी होगी, ये क्या करती है? आयोडीन डेफिशिएंसी से क्या होगा? हाइपोथायरॉयडिज्म। हाइपोथायरॉयडिज्म से क्या होगा? जो प्रोलैक्टिन का रिलीज बढ़ जाएगा, और प्रोलैक्टिन के रिलीज से क्या होगा? एक तो आयोडीन डेफिशिएंसी से भी देयर इज सुपर सेंसिटिविटी ऑफ रिसेप्टर्स, दूसरे सर्टेन अमाउंट ऑफ इंक्रीज प्रोलैक्टिन सिक्रीशन की वजह से भी जो ब्रेस्ट है दे बिकम मोर टेंस एंड टेंडर, और ये सुपर सेंसिटिविटी बढ़ा देते हैं नॉर्मल लेवल ऑफ ईस्ट्रोजन प्रोजेस्टेरोन। तो अल्टीमेटली अगर इन सारी चीजों को समराइज करें तो कुछ फैक्टर्स है जो हमारे डे टू डे लाइफ में इंपॉर्टेंट है, और ये सभी सुपर सेंसिटिविटी बढ़ा देते हैं टू नॉर्मल लेवल ऑफ ईस्ट्रोजन एंड प्रोजेस्टेरोन थ्रू वेरियस एक्शंस। तो अल्टीमेट इसको हम समराइज ऐसे कर सकते हैं। अब पेशेंट प्रेजेंट कैसे करते हैं, इसको कैटेगराइज किया दो इंपॉर्टेंट कैटेगरीज में, साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया, नॉन साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया। साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया बहुत इजी, किससे होता है? हार्मोनल चेंजेस से। हम ये कैसे कह सकते हैं? क्योंकि पेशेंट को साइक्लिकल पैटर्न है, मेंसेस से एक रिलेशन है, मेनार्की से पहले नहीं होता है, मीनोपॉज के बाद नहीं होता है, प्रेगनेंसी लैक्टेशन में इसके फीचर्स नहीं मिलते हैं, तो हम कह सकते हैं कि हार्मोनल। नॉन साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया किससे होता है? नॉन साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया सबसे ज्यादा होता है हार्मोनल। दूसरे नंबर पर होता है इन्फेक्शन या इन्फ्लेमेशन, ट्रॉमा या ट्यूमर से। कैसे? पहले हम साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया समझते हैं। तो साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया की एग्जैक्ट एटियोलॉजी अभी भी रिमेन अनडिफाइंड, दो हमने पहले जो डिस्कस किया वो सपोर्टिव एविडेंसेस है उनके, बट रिसर्चर्स आर स्टिल वर्किंग ऑन इट टू फाइंड आउट द एग्जैक्ट एटियोलॉजी। और ये जैसे मैंने कहा प्री मीनोपॉजल एज ग्रुप में होता है, साइक्लिकल पेन प्रेगनेंसी और मीनोपॉज और उसके टाइम खत्म हो जाता है, because there is suppression of estrogen and progesterone during that time। और मेंसेस के आसपास पेरीमेंस्ट्रुअल फेज में एक्सेसरबेट कर जाता है, और इसमें जो टेंडरनेस और नोडुलैरिटी के साथ हो सकता है, विद नोडुलैरिटी, विदाउट नोडुलैरिटी, स्पेसिफिकली इन द अपर आउटर क्वाड्रेंट, और जनरली ये बायलेटरल होता है। इसमें पेशेंट कंप्लेन करेगा हैवीनेस की, अगर छूने, टेंडरनेस ऑन टच, एंड यूजुअली समटाइम्स दे में कंप्लेन की द पेन इज रेडिएटिंग द अपर आर्म, ऐसा बोल सकते हैं। अब ये होता क्यों? कि जब these glands are proliferating, these cells are proliferating, तो वहां पे वाटर रिटेंशन हो रहा है, स्ट्रोमल डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है, सेल्स का साइज बढ़ रहा है, तो क्या होगा? साइज बढ़ेगा ब्रेस्ट का, जिससे जो कूपर्स लिगामेंट है, these are the suspensory ligament and they help in maintaining the shape of the breast, और वो चेस्ट वॉल से उसको स्टिक करने में मदद करती है। So obviously there will be some tension on the super ligament, and because of this tension, patient complains of heaviness. उसको एक heaviness की complaint, एक uneasiness की feeling होती है. So this is the main reason. अब जो नॉन साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया होता है, उसका जो नॉन साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया हार्मोनल हो सकता है, पेरिडक्टल मेस्टाइटिस, मतलब निपल्स के आसपास पेरिडक्टल मेस्टाइटिस, सिस्ट में हेमरेज हो गया, ब्रेस्ट स्ट्रक्चर, ये मैं मेमोरी कॉजेज बता रही हूँ, है ना। इसके अलावा जो एक्स्ट्रा मेमोरी कॉजेज है हम उन पे भी बात करेंगे। अब हार्मोनल कैसे? हार्मोनल तो साइक्लिकल होना चाहिए, तो ये नॉन साइक्लिकल कैसे? नॉन साइक्लिकल हमें मिल सकता है जब व्हेन देयर इज अ प्रोफाउंड डिस्टर्बेंस, तो हो सकता है पेशेंट कहे कि द पेन रिमेन्स थ्रू आउट, समटाइम्स दे परसीव कि मेंसेस के समय बढ़ जाता है, समटाइम्स दे आर नॉट एबल टू परसीव, देयर इज अ लो परसेप्शन। तो उस कंडीशन में वो कह सकते हैं या तो हमें पता नहीं, हमने ध्यान नहीं दिया, या हो सकता है वो कहें कि नहीं होता है ना, कुछ भी बता सकते हैं। एंड देयर इज अ लो पेन थ्रेशोल्ड, कई लोगों का पेन थ्रेशोल्ड बहुत कम होता है, तो उन्हें जब सिम्टम फ्री पीरियड है उस वक्त भी उन्हें थोड़ा थोड़ा पेन फील हो सकता है। तो वो डिपेंड करेगा कि उसका पेन थ्रेशोल्ड कैसा है। तो समटाइम्स वी डू सी पेशेंट्स who complain of non-cyclical mesalgia, but we find that there is some hormonal etiology associated. उसके अलावा हमें मिलता है निपल रिलेटेड इश्यूज में, यहाँ पे डक्टल इश्यूज होते हैं, पेरिडक्टल मेस्टाइटिस में बहुत फ्रीक्वेंट है ये, ब्रेस्ट सिस्ट में हेमरेज हो गया या ब्रेस्ट सिस्ट रप्चर हो गई, तब भी पेशेंट कंप्लेन कर सकता है कि मुझे पेन है विच इज नॉट रिलेटेड टू हार्मोन, विच इज नॉट रिलेटेड टू मेंसेस। अब नॉन साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया एक्स्ट्रा मेमोरी कॉजेज भी हो सकते, जैसे कि सुपरफिशियल थ्रोम्बोफ्लेबाइटिस, सुपरफिशियल वेन्स है उसमें थ्रोम्बोफ्लेबाइटिस होती है ड्यू टू एनी रीजन, इंटरकॉस्टल न्यूरोलजिया, इंटरकॉस्टल जो न्यूरोमस्कुलर बंडल है वहां पे न्यूरोलजिया हो गया, टीट सिंड्रोम, सेकंड कॉस्ट्रोकॉन्ड्राइटिस, ट्रॉमा हो गया, चोट लगी, कई बार पता चलती है चोट, कई बार पता नहीं चलती, प्लूरोपल्मोनरी कॉजेज हो गए, प्लूरिसी हो गई, पल्मोनरी कॉज हो गया, लेफ्ट साइड है कार्डिक कॉजेज हो सकते हैं, पेरिकार्डियल कॉजेज हो सकते हैं, स्केलेटल कॉजेज हो सकते हैं, न्यूरोजेनिक हो सकते हैं, हो सकता है रेफर्ड पेन हो, सर्वाइकल रेडिकुलोपैथी एसोसिएटेड हो, और साइक्लिकल पेन भी हो सकता है। सो दीज आर द एक्स्ट्रा मेमोरी कॉजेज and we frequently see such cases, and there could be a possibility there is a combination of causes. There could be hormonal causes plus non-hormonal causes associated. So patient may complain of breast pain with the pain radiating to upper right, but if you elaborate the history, the patient may say कि हाँ there is some sort of paresthesia also, और उसको trauma भी होता है. There could be combination or any combination could be there, and this thing makes the diagnosis and the treatment relatively complicated or challenging to the clinician. अब जब भी पेशेंट आता है क्लिनिकल एग्जामिनेशन के लिए, तो two important things we see in our patient. First is the breast as a whole and the nipple. So there are two important areas apart from the eczema that we see in any patient. तो थोड़ा सा मैं इसका आपको डिफरेंशिएशन बताती हूँ कि दोनों को कैसे डिफरेंशिएट करना। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया प्रीमेनोपॉजल फेज में होगा, मिनार्की के पहले नहीं होगा, मीनोपॉज के बाद भी यूजुअली नहीं होगा। नॉन साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया किसी भी एज में मिल सकता है। लोकेशन में साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया यूजुअली अपर आउटर क्वाड्रेंट में होगा, स्प्रेड आउट होगा, वो कोई फोकल पॉइंट यूजुअली नहीं बताते, बट नॉन साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया आपको टेंडरनेस अपर आउटर क्वाड्रेंट में मिल सकती है, या वो फोकल भी बता सकते हैं कि इस पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट पे जगह पर। पेन टाइप जो है वो डल एकिंग होता है, फुलनेस होता है, वो कैरेक्टराइज नहीं है, बस भारीपन है, ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे दूध जैसी गांठ होगी, कुछ इसमें कुछ भी हो सकता है, शार्प एकिंग, डल एकिंग हो सकती है, फुलनेस हो सकती है, शार्प शूटिंग पेन हो सकता है, पिकिंग चुभन हो सकती है, और वो आपको एरिया बता सकते हैं कि इस जगह मुझे ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम है। अगर हम हार्मोन थेरेपी देते हैं तो साइक्लिकल में गुड रिस्पॉन्स, ड्रामेटिक रिस्पॉन्सेज होते हैं यूजुअली, और नॉन साइक्लिकल may respond, may not respond completely depending upon की etiology क्या है, क्योंकि आपने देखा नॉन साइक्लिकल की एक लंबी लिस्ट है, तो उसमें से फिर हमें उसको रूल आउट करना होता है, डायग्नोज करना होता है। इमेजिंग अगर हम करते हैं, अगर प्योरली साइक्लिकल हुआ तो हमें एनडी के फीचर्स मिल सकते हैं, जैसे कि फाइब्रोएडिनोसिस मिल गई, हो सकता है क्लियर गार्ड विद नोडुलैरिटी, विदाउट नोडुलैरिटी, विद नॉट लंप मिल सकते हैं, फाइब्रोएडिनोमास मिल सकते हैं, या हो सकता है सिर्फ फाइब्रोएडिनोसिस, उसको गांठ लगे लेकिन वहां पे फाइब्रोएडिनोसिस। फाइब्रोएडिनोसिस क्या होती है, देयर इज अ थिकनिंग ऑफ पैरेन्काइमा, वहां पे थोड़ा सा पैरेन्काइमा थोड़ा सा थिक हो जाता है, जमा हो गया, क्योंकि वहां पे थोड़ा सा फोकल प्रोलिफरेशन इज कंपेयर्ड टू द अदर पार्ट, तो ऐसा लगता है गांठ है, बट व्हेन वी एग्जामिन, व्हेन वी इमेज, तो हमें पता लगता है कि देयर इज नो सस्पिशंस ऑफ अ डिस्क्रीट लंप, इट्स ओनली द सम थिकनिंग ऑफ टिश्यू। जब हम नॉन साइक्लिकल पे आते हैं तो हमें फाइब्रोएडिनोसिस से लेके कोई भी लोकलाइज लीजन मिल सकता है, कोई गांठ मिल सकती है जिसमें दर्द है, इट कुड बी एनीथिंग, सो द लिस्ट इज लॉन्ग, बट हो सकता है जिस एरिया में वो पॉइंट बताया, आप उस पॉइंट को अगर चेक करो तो वहां पे आपको कोई लीजन मिल जाए, यू नो कि इस लीजन को हमें टारगेट करना। तो आप इवैल्यूएट कैसे करते हैं? थॉरो हिस्ट्री एंड एक्सप्लेनेशन इज मस्ट, वो आपको लेना पड़ेगा, अच्छे से उसको चेक करना पड़ेगा। देन कम्स इमेजिंग, इमेजिंग में हम अपनी जो भी क्लिनिकल डायग्नोसिस है, वी आइदर कंफर्म, वी रिफ्यूट, और we see for additional information. Mammography, sonomammography पे हमारे separate sessions pending है. In coming few months, we will plan for meeting जहाँ पे हम आपको mammography, sonomammography की details में करें. So the thing is कि mammography usually हम 30-35 plus पे कराते हैं, sonomammography early ages में कराते हैं. हमें idea लग जाता है कि हमें क्या pathology क्या है, and blood profile. Blood profile में important thing that we usually look for sugar. Sometimes patient is diabetic. These patients are very prone for infection or non-specific pain. So sugar is very important. We look for anemia and other things so that we know it's generalized body pain with breast pain or something else. A thyroid function test is very important because it is a very common. If I could say, I think I may not be wrong to say कि अभी थायराइड का पेशेंट हमको ज्यादा मिलेगा हाइपोथायराइडिज्म का कंपेयर टू डायबिटीज किसी भी फैमिली में. तो थायराइड फंक्शन टेस्ट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिकॉज थायराइड हैज एन इम्पैक्ट ऑन द होल बॉडी. एंड प्रोलैक्टिन स्पेशली इफ देयर इज अ निपल डिस्चार्ज then prolactin, at least a baseline prolactin is must to get. Now friends, now comes the management and it is a very crucial part of our presentation. So please remember, not all mastalgia requires definitive management. So कौन से patient है जिनको management की जरूरत? Management depends upon the severity of symptom. कि कितना severe symptom है. So now you have assessed the severity. Severity हमने बता दिया कि more than 7 days का cycle हो रहा है, more than 3 visual analog scale पर हो रहा है, या उसकी day to day life hamper कर रही है. So what is the sequence that we must that we usually ask the patient? We usually do with our patient. First of all, we rule out any malignancy. We take the opportunity to find out that there is no sinister lesion inside the breast. कोई ऐसा परेशान करने वाला lesion तो नहीं है. तो कोई भी patient आती है तो हम सबसे पहले ये rule out करते हैं. So now once as a breast clinician, I am assured that this patient does not have any sinister lesion, कोई परेशान, कोई malignant lesion नहीं है. तो उसको भी हमें reassure करना because the patient is also worried. Second is, as I said, Cooper's ligament का stretching होता है. So it is very important to ask patient to wear a well-fitted bra. There are instances जब patient आते कहते दर्द देता है इसलिए bra नहीं पहनते. नहीं, we have to ask our patient to wear well-fitted bra because then it will relieve the Cooper's ligament from stretching and this helps a lot. Initially थोड़ा सा swelling की वजह से pain हो सकता है, but a well-fitted, ना ज़्यादा tight हो ना ढीली. Just ask them to wear. Hot and cold compresses. जो compresses इसको help करते हैं, be it hot or cold, ask them to do. तो ये जो temperature therapy होती है, thermal therapy होती है, it has a huge impact. Then there are certain dietary modifications. We ask them not to take any form of nicotine, caffeine, or we restrict the dose. If the patient is not able to completely eliminate, we ask them to restrict caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, sweat, must. Lifestyle modification. We encourage them to do more and more Zumba classes, Zumbas or yogas, whatsoever they feel good. Because exercise relieves the mind. Body थक जाती है लेकिन mind fresh हो जाता है. तो हम उन्हें lifestyle modification तो करते हैं. अगर obesity होता है उनका body mass index थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा, which we regularly see in all our patients, then we ask them for weight management. क्योंकि जैसा मैंने कहा कि जो obesity होती है उसकी वजह से जो हमारे कैटेकोलामीन्स हैं उनका सुपर सेंसिटिविटी हो जाता है एंड अनसैचुरेटेड फैटी एसिड्स होते हैं उनका एक्शन वो हैम्पर करता है. ओके, टॉपिकल एंड ओरल एनाल्जेसिक्स. और उसके ऊपर भी अगर उन्हें लगता है दर्द है, वी फर्स्ट आस्क देम टू अप्लाई सम टॉपिकल एनाल्जेसिक्स. डाइक्लोफेनेक जेल हो गया, पिरोक्सीकैम जेल हो गया, उसको अप्लाई करें, उससे मालिश कर ले, ठंडी गर्म सिकाई कर सकते हैं. जरूरत होगी देन एसओएस बेसिस पे दे कैन टेक ओरल एनाल्जेसिक्स. एंड फ्रेंड्स, वी आस्क देम टू फिल दिस मैस्टैल्जिया ब्रेस्ट पेन चार्ट. So friends, this chart I am sharing, this is from Cardiff Instrument chart and courtesy Anurag sir, who has provided me all the resources. So this I am sharing. This is a very very important chart. है ना? So we ask them to fill it on a daily basis. जितना दर्द है उतना उसको उस तरह से भरना है. Mild pain, severe pain, no pain. This is the pain chart from AIMS जो हमने डिवाइस किया है and it is a very practical form. We ask our patients to इसको fill करना है. And friends, this is the form that we give to our patients. So this is a sort of filled form. इस तरह का एक क्लासिकल साइक्लिकल मेस्टेल्जिया का फॉर्म है जो कि पेशेंट फील करता है और इस तरह से हमें देखने को मिलता है एंड इट एक्चुअली वर्क्स अ लॉट. ये क्या करता है, व्हाट वी आर डूइंग थ्रू दिस टाइप ऑफ चार्ट्स वी आर प्लेइंग थ्रू मेनी एस्पेक्ट्स. कैसे? We first of all assess whether it is really a cyclical pain or a non-cyclical pain. We assess the severity of the pain, how severe the pain is. पूरा सारे boxes black भरे हुए हैं, means it is really a significant. We assess the response to our therapy. कि उसको कितना आराम पड़ा, हमने यहाँ से ट्रीटमेंट स्टार्ट किया तब से लेके अब तक कितना आराम पड़ा. And we show it to the patient also कि भैया आप यहाँ से शुरू करते हैं. So it relieves our work also, our response. Patient can also see. Also, but there is certain limitations, कुछ important points that we need to. First of all, it should be filled daily. ऐसा नहीं कि एक दिन बैठ के और पूरा एक हफ्ते का भर. It should not be done like this. Secondly, it should be filled by the patient only. Patient भरेगा. Husband, बच्चे उनको डरा धमका के नहीं भरना, इमोशनली ब्लैकमेल करके नहीं. She has to. If she feels the pain, she has to feel. So otherwise, because if it is not religiously followed, then it may not help. But if it is religiously followed, it helps a lot because through this we divert the mind of the patient. And what we do, we follow them monthly on a monthly basis. We ask them to come and we see the pain score और उसकी daily activities अभी भी कैसी है. So this pain chart helps us to because what the patient says is subjective. कोई आराम नहीं, डॉक्टर साहब क्या दवाई दी, कोई फर्क नहीं. But through this pain chart, it is an objective assessment. So we can also assess कि भैया कितना फायदा हुआ कि नहीं हुआ. What the patient is saying and what the chart is saying, we can correlate. So still if we feel that there is no significant relief in mesalgia, more than 80% patient relieves by this. Remaining more than 90%. More than 90% patients are relieved by this only. But maybe 10 to 20% patient may say कि मुझे बहुत आराम नहीं पड़ा, which you can assess through this pain chart, and then you may think of considering systemic therapy. So that's it. This is the main treatment of mesalgia. So this is the main treatment of systemic therapy. We don't try to initiate at a first phase, the oral contraceptive pills or any hormonal therapy. This is not our first intervention. Because now again, if I say Andy is a lifestyle problem, अभी इतना इंसिडेंस क्यों देखने को मिलता है? Because we had lot of lifestyle changes, modifications, day to day practices हमारी कितनी change हो गई. So many junk foods are the part of the life. जरा सा हुआ ऑर्डर करके भी ask for carbohydrate rich food, कोका कोला, ये सब बच्चे कितनी frequently पीते. So this is a lifestyle problem. So what we do, is we take the opportunity to rectify the lifestyle of a patient. तो अभी हम थोड़ा सा सिस्टमिक बात करते हैं, then I'll elaborate more on this point. तो क्या होता है कि अब सिस्टमिक थेरेपी की बात करें अगर हम, तो सिस्टमिक थेरेपी को हम डिवाइड करते हैं दो चीजों, नॉन हार्मोनल एंड हार्मोनल. नॉन हार्मोनल क्यों? बिकॉज दे डोंट हैव एनी डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट ऑन दी हार्मोन्स और हार्मोनल रिसेप्टर्स. लाइक इवनिंग प्राइमरोज बहुत ही फेमस मेडिसिन है जो आप लोग सुनते हो, विटामिन ई हो गया, एसेंशियल फैटी एसिड जो अभी मैगजीएलए करके भी आप लोगों ने, GLA is gamma linolenic acid, which is an unsaturated fatty acid. Then hormonal manipulation होते हैं like tamoxifene, danazol, cetromar, cabaldin, जिसकी डिटेल अभी मैं आपको दूंगी. तो जो नॉन हार्मोनल है इसमें इंपॉर्टेंट है ओमेगा-3 फैटी एसिड, जैसे फ्लैक्स सीड्स में होता है, देन सोया मिल्क हो गया, इवनिंग प्राइमरोज ऑयल हो गया, कैडबेरी सीड्स हो गए. तो इनके ऊपर ट्रायल्स है, अभी भी रिसर्चेस हो रही है. इवनिंग प्राइमरोज ऑयल के बारे में बहुत ही डीप सा देती हूँ, जिसको नहीं पता होगा, ये एक प्लांट प्रोडक्ट है. इट इज अ प्लांट डेरिवेटिव. इसको कहते हैं इनोथेराबेलेमिस. ओके, इट इज रिच इन एसेंशियल फैटी एसिड्स. 17 to 40% गामा लिनोलेनिक एसिड होता है, जो कि मैगजीएलए अगर किसी ने यूज किया हो तो उसमें भी गामा GLA होता है, गामा लिनोलेनिक एसिड. और मोड ऑफ एक्शन क्या है? इट इन्वॉल्व्स द इनहिबिशन ऑफ प्रोस्टाग्लैंडिन्स. सो प्रोस्टाग्लैंडिन्स हमें पता है कि दे कॉज पेन. प्रोस्टाग्लैंडिन्स को इनहिबिट करता है, इसीलिए ये पोटेंशियली कंट्रीब्यूट टू ब्रेस्ट पेन. यूजुअल डोसेज यूजुअली 1 gram per day की हिसाब से.
Dr. Sudhi, can I interrupt you for a second? Dr. Sudhi,
Yes, sir.
इवनिंग प्रिमरोज ऑयल मत बताइए, क्योंकि हम लोग हर जगह टीच कर रहे हैं, बेली लव में लिखा है, सब जगह लिखा है, डोंट यूज इवनिंग प्रिमरोज ऑयल, डोंट यूज विटामिन ई, बिकॉज अवर मेटा एनालिसिस हैज शोन इट इज सेम एज प्लेसिबो।
Yes, sir. I am
ठीक
coming.
है, तो उसको तो उसके बारे में मत बताइए ना, नहीं तो सब लोग समझेंगे वही यूज करेंगे जो कर रहे हैं। तो हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव इस सेमिनार का एक ये था कि प्लीज से नो टू से इवनिंग प्रिमरोज ऑयल, नो ईपीओ एंड नो विटामिन ई, दो मेन हम ये कहना चाहेंगे, ठीक है? तो इनको बारे में मत बताइए, नहीं तो सब लोग वही सोचेंगे वही करेक्ट है, ठीक है?
Yes,
थैंक
sir.
यू।
Yes. Sir,
और
actually,
आगे और बता दीजिए और बाकी, ठीक।
yes, sir. Sir, the
Thank you,
thing
thank
is
you,
that, this evening primrose oil and the other important contents like vitamin E, as what sir said, it is their use is debatable, still debatable. So some say yes, some say no to these type of medicines because they have you know plus minus effects. In some studies, they show some effect. They show that it is equivalent to the hormonal manipulation. In some studies, they show they don't have any effect at all. So it is still debatable. तो ये हमें इस तरह के प्लस माइनस सारे देखने को मिलेंगे. The thing is, while the time we are assessing the patient, we are giving treatment to the patient, we are modifying the lifestyle of the patient. There is a school of thought. In Indian setting, in Indian society where we live, so we have two options. Either we can start directly on the hormonal manipulation, or we work on the lifestyle. But in Indian society, until unless we prescribe some medicine, the patient is not satisfied. So these medicines, they have a placebo effect. So what the placebo is, like, you give anything which is not harming to the patient, saying that it is a drug and it will help you. So with the expectation of benefit, there is a release of endorphins and dopamine, and which itself causes pain relief. So as what I said, more than 80% of patients are relieved as soon as you say that you don't have any cancer, you don't have anything to worry about, and you just start on their lifestyle and start them on any placebo. So there is up to us whether you want to prescribe anything like omega-3 fatty acids or something, or any placebo. So it has a placebo effect. Okay. So there is a school of thought whether to give it or not to give it, or can directly start with the hormonal manipulation. But it depends upon in which part of the society they are practicing and what is the patient profile, what is their satisfaction level. Now coming to the hormonal medicines. So friends, tamoxifen was one of the earlier drugs which was started. जिसको start किया गया था. Earlier it was started with for breast cancer management. Later on, it was realized that it has a very good effect in breast pain management as well. तो अब ये करता क्या है? Tamoxifen is a selective estrogen receptor modulator. अब selective estrogen क्यों कहा? Because it has a negative effect on the breast estrogen receptors. Otherwise, it has an agonistic effect. So it has an antagonistic effect होता है breast estrogen receptors पे, लेकिन it has an agonistic effect on uterus. तो endometrial cells पे it has an agonistic effect on estrogen receptors. इसलिए इसको selective estrogenic receptor modulator कहा गया. ये क्या करता है? ये जाके उस receptor को ब्लॉक कर देता है. बाइंड करने से ईस्ट्रोजन है वो ब्लॉक हो जाता है, वो अपना एक्शन नहीं कर पाता. जब ईस्ट्रोजन अपना रिसेप्टर अपना एक्शन नहीं कर पाएगा तो क्या होगा? ईस्ट्रोजन की वजह से जो प्रोलिफरेशन है दैट विल नॉट हैपन, वो नहीं होगी, और इस वजह से सेलुलर प्रोलिफरेशन को ये चेक करता है, रोकता है. अब जैसा मैंने कहा कि इट इज सिलेक्टिव. सो ब्रेस्ट पे इट हैज एन एंटी एस्ट्रोजेनिक इफेक्ट, बट बिकॉज इट हैज एन एगोनिस्टिक इफेक्ट ऑन एंडोमेट्रियम and blood vessels, it increases the risk of thromboembolism and uterine cancer. So therefore, because of these side effects, many of the clinicians, they don't prefer giving tamoxifen. So there was some hitch in prescribing tamoxifen. We discuss about one very important drug, which is breakthrough in the management of nostalgia development. But before that, हम danazol के बारे में, these are the common medicines which are prescribed till now. तो डेनाजोल क्या है? डेनाजोल इज अ सिंथेटिक स्टेरॉइड एंड पिट्यूटरी गोनाडोट्रोपिन इनहिबिटरी एजेंट. तो इसको डेवलप किया गया था फॉर ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ एंडोमेट्रियोसिस एंड सीवियर पेन एंड टेंडरनेस एसोसिएटेड विद बेनाइन फाइब्रोसिस्टिक ब्रेस्ट डिजीज. It is a modified androgen. इसकी 2.5 to 3.5% of activity of methyl testosterone होती है. So now what we are giving, जो mestalgia है, mestalgia है, it is because of the axis of, it's a female hormone and it is an androgen, so it is opposite of female hormone, so it has an action opposite of female hormone. इस वजह से जो फीमेल फीचर्स होते हैं उनको ये इनिबिट करता है, बट इसके साथ प्रॉब्लम है. सो इट एंटागोनाइजेस द एस्ट्रोजन लेवल एट टिश्यू लेवल, ब्लॉक करता है एस्ट्रोजन रिसेप्टर साइट्स को, सप्रेस करता है ओव्यूलेशन बिकॉज इट इज एन एंड्रोजन, इट इज एन एंड्रोजेनिक इफेक्ट. ओव्यूलेशन को ये सप्रेस करेगा, इसीलिए एस्ट्रोजन प्रोडक्शन को भी सप्रेस कर देता है और पल्सेटाइल जीएनआरएच रिलीज पैटर्न को ये इनिबिट करता है. तो इस तरह से मल्टीपल एक्शंस होते हैं. बट इसकी वजह से प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है? प्रॉब्लम ये है बिकॉज इट हैज एन एंड्रोजेनिक इफेक्ट, इट प्रोड्यूसेस एंड्रोजेनिक साइड इफेक्ट्स इन फीमेल्स. सो जो भी पेशेंट डेनेजोल लेता है उसको हेयर फॉल की शिकायत आ सकती है, मस्कुलिनाइजेशन की, बॉडी हेयर हो सकते हैं, फेशियल हेयर आ सकते हैं, विरिलिज्म की प्रॉब्लम आ सकती है, मेंस्ट्रुअल इरेगुलरिटीज हो सकती है, एक्ने हो सकते हैं, तो वेट गेन हो सकता है. तो मल्टीपल सिस्टमिक साइड इफेक्ट्स होते हैं विच आर नॉट डिजायरेबल फॉर द फीमेल. इसके अलावा ये हेपेटोटॉक्सिसिटी कर सकता है और ये इडियोपैथिक रेस्ड इंट्राक्रेनियल टेंशन भी करता है, जिसकी वजह से पेशेंट हेडेक की कंप्लेन कर सकता है. सो दिस, बिकॉज ऑफ दिस साइड इफेक्ट, दिस ड्रग वाज नेवर दैट पॉपुलर मैनेजमेंट ऑफ मेस्टेल्जिया. अब आते हैं सेंट्रोमन की बात. अब सेंट्रोमन क्या है? ये एक ब्रेक थ्रू मेडिसिन इन द मैनेजमेंट ऑफ ब्रेस्ट पेन और मेस्टेल्जिया. ये एक नॉन स्टेरॉइडल सिलेक्टिव एस्ट्रोजन रिसेप्टर मॉड्यूलेटर है. ये डेवलप हुई थी CDRI लखनऊ में, और अनुराग सर है, संदीप कुमार सर है, दे वर द पायोनियर, मैं कहूंगी द फर्स्ट रिसर्चर्स फॉर सेंट्रोमन, एंड होल क्रेडिट मस्ट बी गिवन टू देम. बिकॉज अगर आप नेट पे सर्च करेंगे तो अगर सेंट्रोमन से रिलेटेड जितने आर्टिकल्स आप मान के चलिए, ज्यादातर आर्टिकल्स और ऑलमोस्ट सारे आर्टिकल्स में अनुराग सर का नाम होगा ही होगा. तो ये पहले शुरू हुई थी एज एन ओरल कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव पिल की तरह, जिसको सहेली के नाम से पॉपुलराइज किया जाता था. अलग अलग नाम है इसके, सेंट्रॉन है, सेविस्टा है, नोवेक्स के नाम से आती है, लोवेक्स के नाम से आती है. तो ये इसको यूज किया गया है डिसफंक्शनल यूट्राइन ब्लीडिंग में, मेस्टेल्जिया कंट्रोल, कैंसर ऑफ रिप्रोडक्टिव ऑर्गन्स एंड ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस कंट्रोल के लिए इसको यूज किया जाता है. अब मैकेनिज्म क्या, ये भी सिलेक्टिव एस्ट्रोजेनिक है, लेकिन इसका एंटागोनिस्ट इफेक्ट होता है ब्रेस्ट पे और एंडोमेट्रियम. सो इट इज अ बिट अपोजिट फ्रॉम टेमोक्सिफिन, क्योंकि एंडोमेट्रियम पे इसका एंटी एस्ट्रोजेनिक इफेक्ट है और वीक एस्ट्रोजेनिक एक्टिविटी होती है बोन्स पे और कार्डियोवास्कुलर सिस्टम पे. तो क्योंकि एंडोमेट्रियम पे इसकी स्ट्रॉन्ग एंटी एस्ट्रोजेनिक एक्टिविटी है, इसलिए कभी भी जब हम पेशेंट्स को देते हैं, वी टेल द पेशेंट may experience some hypomenorrhea or delayed menses. Menstrual irregularities थोड़ी बहुत हो सकती है, but these irregularities are temporary. So once we stop the treatment, थोड़े समय के बाद usually ये regularize हो जाते हैं until unless patient have some other problem. तो अगर हम पहले से patient को बता दें तो patient are mentally prepared to okay, this is a minor problem, so don't have to worry about it. अब हम बात करते हैं रिफ्रैक्टिव मेस्टेल्जिया, जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि आप इतनी मेहनत कर रहे हो पेशेंट के साथ, सारी चीजें आपने कर दी, बट देयर मे बी इंस्टेंसेस जब पेशेंट कहे कि मुझे बिल्कुल आराम नहीं, तो उसके लिए उस वक्त जरूरी है सबसे पहले रूल आउट करना कि वेदर पेशेंट इज रियली कंप्लाइंट विद द पेन चार्ट. अगर पेन चार्ट के लिए वो प्रॉपरली कंप्लाइंट है, तो फिर अगर कंप्लाइंट नहीं है, ज्यादातर केसेस में पेशेंट कंप्लाइंट नहीं है, तो वही साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज उसके साथ चल रहे होते हैं. So we have to ask the patient strictly that they have to be compliant with the pain chart. Other than that, suppose the patient is very compliant, बहुत अच्छे से कर रहा है, अच्छे से दवाइयां ले रहे सब कुछ, then we certainly need to rule out non-hormonal causes, which includes periductal mastitis, nipple area जो मैंने कहा था कि चेक करना बहुत जरूरी है. It could be on the left side, अगर है हो सकता है हार्टबर्न हो, dyspepsia हो, रिफर्ड पेन हो सकता है, सर्वाइकल न्यूरोपैथी. आपका हार्मोनल कॉज तो आराम है, बट बिकॉज देयर इज एसोसिएटेड सर्वाइकल न्यूरोपैथी, हो सकता है पेशेंट को उसकी वजह से पूरा आराम ना, कार्डियक कॉज हो सकते हैं, चेस्ट वॉल पूरा हो सकते हैं. सो अदर नॉन एक्स्ट्रा मेमोरी कॉजेज दैट वी नीड टू नोट, एंड दीज आर द कॉमन कॉजेज दैट वी इनकाउंटर इन अ डे टू डे प्रैक्टिस. अगर ये सारी चीजें ठीक है, आपने थोड़ा सा सिम्टोमेटिक ट्रीटमेंट दिया, evaluation करा दिया, everything is okay, still the patient coming, मैम क्या दवाई दी, कोई आराम नहीं, तो ऐसी ऐसी, then it is very important that we look for psychiatric evaluation and treatment. क्योंकि it's very sad sense of aware, but it is true that females are commonly they commonly suffer with anxiety, depression. They have a lot of responsibilities on their head. They are worried about future or many other things. So some amount of anxiety or depression उनको थोड़ा थोड़ा सा रहता है, कई बार उनके मन में डर होता है कि ऐसा तो नहीं कुछ अंदर बन रहा है और डॉक्टर पकड़ नहीं पा रहा, तो इस तरह की भी प्रॉब्लम होती है. वी नीड टू reassure them, talk to them, and it's a very very extreme cases. We may require mastectomy. It is extreme case. Please don't attempt it, and very very extreme. But we need a psychiatric evaluation and try to treat these patients. They may require tricyclic antidepressants and other, but leave this on psychiatrists to see whether they need it or not. क्योंकि जो pain होता है, it is a very subjective phenomenon. Like suppose I am sitting here, and if I say कि I have a severe headache, so no one can assess whether I really have a headache or not. So for this हम क्या करते हैं, पेन चार्ट में हम उसको साइकेट्रिक मैनिपुलेशन कर देते हैं, उसका माइंड डाइवर्ट कर देते हैं पेन चार्ट. और ऐसा देखा गया है, अलग अलग स्टडीज हुई है जिसमें उन्होंने पाया है कि जो पेशेंट जिनको सीवियर मेस्टैल्जिया है विच इज रिफ्रैक्टरी टू एनी फॉर्म ऑफ ट्रीटमेंट, तो जब उनका साइकेट्रिक इवैल्यूएशन किया गया तो उनमें किसी में सोमेटाइजेशन पाया गया, मेजर डिप्रेसिव डिसऑर्डर्स थे, उनको जब भी एंटी डिप्रेसेंट्स दिए गए तो मोस्ट ऑफ द पेशेंट्स they were relieved. So if you encounter any patient with refractory severe mesalgia always complaining, it's always a good idea, like after your evaluation and you are satisfied that there is nothing to worry about, get a psychiatric opinion. So friends, now if I give you some take home message, इस पूरे प्रेजेंटेशन का सबसे पहले ब्रेस्ट पेन इंपॉर्टेंट है. ज्यादातर लोगों में there is a fear of malignancy and there is a significant derangement in the quality of life. Therefore, management of mesalgia is very important. It is a lifestyle problem. This mesalgia or ND is a lifestyle problem. And key to success is reassurance. Reassure them there is nothing to worry about. Lifestyle management and psychological manipulation in the form of pain charts. Hormonal manipulation is required in selected cases. May require thorough evaluation and exclusion of non-hormonal causes in refractory cases. And with this, friends, I'll be sharing this ASOMA guide for managing breast pain. It's a very, very informative and valuable manuscript that sir has provided me. Thank you very much, sir. And I will share in the group. Please go through it so that you have a better understanding of managing mesalgia patients next time if they come to you. And friends, this is an Asian Society of Mastology. ASOMA, sir is one of the founding members along with Dr. Chintamani, who is also an international figure. And this is also a multidisciplinary forum, which have pathologists, radiologists, obs and gynecologists. They are members of this group. And I request if you have interest in managing breast patients, no matter whether you are pathologist, radiologist, this forum provides an opportunity to learn all the aspects and bring all the specialists together at one time. So I request if you want to become a member, I will share the link in the group, and it's a good opportunity because not only Indian but other Asian countries, you will get an opportunity to check how the people suffer with breast problems and how they are being treated. And with this, now I request, sir, thank you very much for your patient hearing. I hope we have cleared most of our doubts. And now sir is with us, so I will not take much time. And I request sir to please focus some light on our presentation and please enlighten us with your knowledge.
Thank you, Dr. Sudeep, for the opportunity. So, I'll just simplify the management. A lady comes, she complains of pain in one or both breasts, and usually she belongs to age group around 25 to 30, 35, and usually they have regular menses. And so you take a focus history and then you examine both mammary glands, including the mammary ducts. So I want to emphasize that doctor should examine the milk ducts also. This is not described in books. So please watch a video on detailed examination of the breast. It is on the YouTube also, and it's given in the Bailey and Love also, chapter 58, the new edition, 28th edition. So where we have emphasized the examination of the whole mammary gland, including the milk ducts and axilla. So perform a thorough breast examination. And we have given a new name. Dr. Sandeep and ourselves have written a chapter in Indian Journal of Surgery called Clinical Breast Assessment. So focus history plus a clinical breast examination makes a clinical breast assessment, CBA. So CBE is well known, but CBE alone has no meaning if you ignore the history. So you must include a focus history, which includes family history of breast and ovarian cancer or other cancers. And so focus history plus clinical breast examination makes it clinical breast assessment, CBA. And I have shared an article from Indian Journal. So please share it with all the honorable members, and they can enjoy reading it and distribute to their medical students if they are medical teachers. Second point is, then, so this is first part of the triple assessment, clinical breast assessment. Second component is the breast imaging, which must involve a thorough high resolution ultrasound. If you are performing ultrasound yourself as breast surgeon, well and good. Otherwise, get a colleague, preferably a lady radiologist, who can assess the breast tissue, parenchyma, major milk ducts under the nipple areola and the axilla. All three areas must be assessed. And if she reports normal breast parenchyma, Birat's 2, benign, right? Birat's 1 or Birat's 2, then you don't have to go any further in this. So it is just dual assessment, not triple, just clinical breast assessment followed by breast ultrasound. So ultrasound is done in all cases. Dr. Garima Mehta has asked what is the role of mammography. So yes, ma'am, if lady is above 30, we'll perform a mammogram, bilateral, preferably digital mammography as well, because some lesions may be missed on ultrasound. So microcalcification is best seen on mammography, X-ray mammography, whereas structural changes, ductal dilatation, papilloma, etc., and the axillary nodes are best seen by the ultrasound. So it is complementary. You should do both. Ultrasound for all ages, and above 30, add mammography as well. If lady has high risk because of family history of breast ovarian cancer in the family, then add contrast bilateral MRI scan as well, because contrast MRI of the breast is the most sensitive method of picking up earliest features of cancer. So in patient with family history or known BRCA or other genetic mutation carrier, please add MRI. So this is about the dual or triple assessment. And if no lesion is found, then and lady has breast pain, then it is typical true breast pain. So how do we know that it is arising from within the tissue of the breast? You make her sit or in lateral position and palpate the mammary gland like this. I think Dr. Sudhi has shown a picture. So palpate the mammary gland in sitting position or lateral position. And again, it is nicely shown in our video. So if lady complains of pain when you are examining her in sitting position, that is called true breast tenderness. So that means pain is arising from the substance of the breast. So this is very important to first distinguish. It is a first duty. If a lady comes with breast pain, our first duty is to distinguish whether it's arising from within the substance of the breast, that is true breast pain, or it is arising from the chest wall, musculoskeletal pain, costochondral junction, or referred pain from other sites like reflex esophagitis, cardiac pain, biliary pain. So true breast tenderness must be elicited. And this is followed by imaging, range imaging. And we do imaging of the breast as well as ultrasound of the pelvis. Why? Because we want to rule out polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOD. Why? Because centroman is usually relatively contraindicated in ladies with PCOD, because some cysts may form more cysts will add. So rule out PCOD by pelvic ultrasound. And so in the first month, we will not give any systemic treatment. Just reassure that, madam, you don't have cancer, you don't have TB, you will not die with this breast pain. And 70 to 80% of ladies in any population have this pain. It is like, like some dysmenorrhea, like mild discomfort in the hypogastrium is normal accompaniment of periods. So similarly, mild discomfort in the mammary area is a normal accompaniment. We should not call it hazard or side effect complication. It's a normal accompaniment of menses. When it becomes severe, more than 3 on a scale of 0 to 10, or lasting more than 1 week in a monthly cycle, or any pain that disturbs the activities of our daily life, then of course we should call it pathological and treat it. So in the first month, we'll just reassure, arrange well-fitting bra. So you very rightly showed the picture and size. Lot of studies have shown that 70 to 80% ladies, even in America, this is American data, do not wear appropriately fitting undergarment. So I was reading the details of the one study. They have said that if you see marks, shoulder marks of the straps on the shoulder of the bra, right, that and lady has large mammary glands, macromastia, then probably she needs some kind of reduction mammoplasty, because the weight of the mammary glands is such that it have made a mark on her shoulder due to straps. So check for the marks of the strap. They say that about 70 to 80% of the weight of the breast tissue should be borne by the posterior straps, the back band straps, not by the shoulder straps. So if shoulder strap is taking the major weight, that means it is wrongly fitting bra, or do reduction mammoplasty if the breasts are very heavy. So this is about the well-fitting bra, and usually we recommend that one size is smaller. If cup size is say 30, then request her to wear 26 or 28 size in the daytime. In the night, she can remove. And it basically relieves the tension on the overstretched Cooper's ligaments. The third thing is flax seeds. So randomized trials have shown that flaxseed, which is a rich source of omega-3 fatty acids, so 30 grams twice a day is the recommended dose. And fourth is the local massage of some anti-inflammatory gel. Pyroxicam gel is more effective in randomized trials compared to diclofenac gel, but is not easily available. The trade name is, I think, Dolonex. By Pfizer. So pyroxicam gel is more effective compared to diclofenac. Otherwise, you can use diclofenac. When you use diclofenac, something about the brand. There is one brand which does not smell. So the working ladies, do not prefer those brands which have a smell of Iodex. So many brands have a smell of Iodex. Iodine, well, they just strong smell of that. So everybody will ask, what have you applied? Why are you using Iodex? So there is one brand which does not have this smell, and it comes by spray as well as in gel form. The name is Dynapar. So that brand is preferred for ladies who are working in the daytime and going out. Fourth thing is the use of herbal oil called Kalonji oil. Kalonji is Nigella sativa. Black nigel, black jeera bhi bolte hain, black cumin. So it is again rich source of many antioxidants, many anti-inflammatory agents. And in Islamic medicine, Paigambbar Muhammad Sahab has said that Kalonji मौत के अलावा सारी बीमारी ठीक कर देती है. मौत के अलावा सारी बीमारी कलौंजी ठीक करती है. इतनी इफेक्टिव है ये. So because it's a rich source of many antioxidants and anti-inflammatory agents. So again, randomized trials have shown that Kalonji oil is very effective compared to placebo. So if patients can get Kalonji oil, and it is usually available in a Hakim shop, Unani medicine people or Hakims usually make it themselves, or they can get it from some manufacturer. So for 1 month, she will do all this. She comes back after a month with the imaging report and with the pain chart. So pain chart shows pain of more than 3 on the scale of 0 to 10, and she is having severe pain. It is affecting her activities of daily life. So that is an indication that we start some systemic therapy. Systemic therapy will be either Centroman or Meloxifene, 30 milligram alternate days, or sometimes twice a week. And the other drug will be tamoxifen. So the choice will depend on whether lady has PCOD or not. If there are cysts in the ovaries, then we suggest tamoxifen. And if there are no cysts, normal ovaries, then we suggest Centroman. So why Centroman compared to other drugs? Because it is so much effective, so cheap, and has minimal side effects. It has scanty periods or oligomenorrhea. I tell the girls that you will have no anemia. You will have less blood loss and less anemia. So it is not a major problem. So the Centroman is our first choice, and because of the low cost and almost absence of side effects, and other drug will be tamoxifen if lady has PCOD. So we start with these. We used to use danazol earlier, but danazol is much more costly and has major side effects because it's a steroidal molecule. It causes sodium and water retention and weight gain and hirsutism. Girls don't like it because they grow dadi much, hair growth in the face and masculinizing voice. So for these reasons, and it costs about 12 to 14 rupees a tablet compared to Centroman, which costs only 2 to 3 rupees a tablet, Saheli or so. So the first choice would be Centroman. If the PCOD is there, then tamoxifen. Try to give it for 2 to 3 months. Most ladies will experience very good relief. Within 1 month, you will start having relief of the symptoms. And Centroman scores better than danazol because in one of our trial, we found that the carryover effect of Centroman was more. Carryover effect means you stop the medicine after 3 months, lady will remain pain-free till 6 months. So the drug has been stopped, but the effect on the body physiology is such that patient remains pain-free for another 3 to 6 months. So that's prolonged carryover effect. Danazol, etc., do not have that carryover effect. So this is about the drug treatment. And we discourage the use of vitamin E and evening primrose oil because the meta-analysis and many randomized trials have not shown any significant benefit. As Dr. Sudhi said, it's a placebo effect. You give Podeen Hara, you give Hajmola tablet, you give anything, Shikanji, they will feel better. So we don't want to just please their mind. We want to give an effective treatment and scientifically valid treatment proven by randomized trials. So this is about drug treatment in short. And majority, 70 to 80% will feel relieved. About 7 to 10% will continue to have severe pain. And the term is recalcitrant mastalgia or severe mastalgia, more than 6 on a scale of 0 to 10, which is not relieved by 3 to 6 months of Centroman, tamoxifen, danazol. So then we'll use danazol as a second line. We use danazol as a reserve as a second line. Give 3 months. If even that does not relieve, then we'll switch to an interesting topic called total estrogen blockade. So I think our gynae friends and Dr. Kirti madam will appreciate that Leupride or LHRH analogs have a very strong effect on the release of LH and FSH from anterior pituitary. So it is causing chemical hypophasectomy. And it also blocks the receptor of LH and FSH on the ovaries, so thereby causing chemical oophorectomy. So LHRH analog, an Indian LHRH molecule is called Leupride. It cost 3,000 rupees. It costs 3,000 rupees for 3.75 milligram injection, and it is given deep intramuscular, once a month, and along with some anti-estrogen like Centroman or tamoxifen. So we give Centroman along with LHRH analog and in 3 months' time, even the most severe mastalgia will be relieved. So Dr. Sohani in AIMS has done a study where she used total estrogen blockade for 3 months with magical response. I think in 7 out of 10 patients, the pain became zero. So it is something to be recommended for those ladies who continue to have severe breast pain in spite of Centroman, tamoxifen, and danazol. So I'll stop here and wait for questions. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Srivastava. This has been a real informative talk for gynecologists, and you've made it so simple. I'm sorry
Thank you,
my
ma'am.
video is not coming. Otherwise, I've been really attentively hearing and grasping every word of what you have said. And I totally agree with this GnRH analog, which I have also
Thank you.
tried in one of my patients
Yes,
who
ma'am.
did not respond to the combined oral contraceptives and all. So I gave her GnRH analog Luprodex, and because she was for about 3-4 months, so I gave her a add back therapy too, so that because of osteoporosis and all, because these are young patients, and I think this really works. Doctor,
Ma'am, yeah. I'll
yeah.
add one more. I'll add one more component, ma'am. I'm actually admitted. I'm speaking from a hospital. I'm sitting in the naturopathy ward, and in front of me, a lady doctor from naturopathy department is sitting. She wants to examine me because I'm admitted myself for some arthritis. So we are doing some trials with naturopathy, and a few weeks ago, a lady came with severe pain. She was crying, ro rahi thi wo. She was crying for 7 months. No relief. Pain score was 8. Pain score was 8, ma'am. So she was admitted with naturopathy in just 2 days' time. 2 days' time, pain became zero, and she smiling happily. She went home. So naturopathy has lot of hopes, lot of hopes. So we are doing a randomized trial. We started a new randomized trial comparing naturopathic remedies with Centroman. So that will be new.
Really, we need all these things. We really need all these things. One
Yes,
thing,
ma'am.
Dr. Srivastava, I had put up that question. I have menopausal patients who sometimes come with these non-cyclical pain, and on sonography, the sonologist tells us that she has microcysts. So what is to be done? What is to be done for these microcysts? They did an aspiration there only at the center, and they said, this is not malignancy. But then these microcysts recur, and they come again. They would be coming after a few months. That there's some tricky pain there, just at a spot. So what is it? Of course, I do understand. You told us in that video of Andy, ANDI, that it is a menopausal atresia which occurs of the ducts. What to do so that recurrence does not occur?
So make sure, ma'am, that a senior radiologist reports the mammogram and ultrasound to rule out cancer, because sometimes cysts may actually have a papillary carcinoma at the end on the wall. So once we have ruled out cancer, by all means, then just reassurance. And you can use NSAID, you can use Kalonji oil massage, or send patient for naturopathy. If you have ruled out cancer, then send for naturopathy, because this may be part of our postmenopausal syndrome, ma'am. Part of postmenopausal syndrome. And you are expert of postmenopausal treatment, hormonal or non-hormonal.
This naturopathy hospital is in Subharati campus?
Yes, ma'am. They have a full department of yoga and naturopathy with 100 beds. 100 beds.
Wow, we didn't know about it.
So I'm admitted today. I'm admitted. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Namaskar, ma'am. Dr. Sudhi, if there are any questions, then let me know.
There are questions that have been lined up for you. And one of the important questions Dr. Godavari Goyal ma'am has asked, she is asking, suppose a patient presents with some intercostal neuralgia, so it is an extra memory pain. So what do you suggest? How to identify such patients, and then how to...
So you rule out cancer, then refer the patient to a good pain clinic, usually run by anesthetist or palliative care people. So they will give some nerve block. So that is more effective. Nerve block by lignocaine with combination of either long-acting triamcinolone, or some people inject morphine. So depending on, or So nerve block will be if it is localized to one nerve only. Like post-herpetic neuralgia, sometimes very troublesome. After herpes zoster, sometimes ladies have very severe, ladies or even gents have very severe post-herpetic. So nerve block, I think, or pain clinic referral if you have ruled out cancer.
Okay, so suppose like we can start with some over-the-counter analgesics from our side, but if they are not relieved, it's always good to take the help from the fellow colleagues from the respective specialty and to take their help, let them analyze and let them take the call and treat the patient. Okay, thank you very much, sir. So Dr. Garima Mehta wants to ask how to use Kalonji oil.
Massage over.
So it's like any oil massage. It's like any oil massage. It's a rich source of anti-inflammatory molecules and antioxidants. And Unani doctors, even Ayurvedic doctors use it in a lot of arthritis and other pain areas. So Kalonji oil, it's available. You can search on the Amazon also, or send the patient to a Unani physician, Hakim or Unani physician. They usually make it or they provide it. It's very effective. Randomized trials have shown it beneficial.
Thank you very much, sir. And I hope Dr. Garima Mehta has received her answer, and Dr. Godavi Goel ma'am has also received her answer. So you have very well said, like I think it is on the right track because as already mentioned, ND is a lifestyle disease. So naturopathy, because like we are now away from the nature. So more in combination with nature, we may be able to find a cure of this problem. And sir, that was a very insightful interaction with you. I think there is one important question. What should be the Dr. Sachin Prakash wants to ask, sir? What should be the approach for multiple fibroadenomas in which a few large enough to excise and few are too small or too insignificant for multiple incisions? So, though it is a bit unrelated to today's topic, but I think it is related to ND. So, sir, would you like to take the call and to answer the question?
I think Dr. Srivastava has left.
Hello?
Has he left?
Yeah, that is the person.
I'm still attached. So
Okay,
for
sir.
multiple fibroadenoma, it is difficult to treat. But you start with Centroman if lady is below 30 and biopsy and imaging are showing a benign fibroadenoma only, Birat's either 3 or 2, and biopsy doesn't show any atypia, no family history of breast ovarian cancer, and lump size is less than 5 centimeter. So for small lumps less than 5, age below 30, no family history, and no atypia on biopsy, you can start Centroman. Some of the lesions will regress, but many recur. So multiple fibroadenoma is an area of intense research, and we have to find some more effective treatment for that.
Okay, so important. So what I can get?
Yeah, but try not to remove because there are so many, and if you could put many cuts, you will cause multiple scars, and you will cut the nerves to the nipple and milk ducts to the nipple, which will hamper her ability to breastfeed later on. And nipple sensation is so important for the action. Heart rate.
I think so.
Going for a treatment, I think.
Nice of him that in spite of being admitted for treatment, he's with us and enlightening us with his knowledge. Thank you very much, sir.
So, and my teacher, Professor Sandeep Kumar, who's also your teacher, tells us not to use a periareolar incision because sometimes for sake of cosmesis, we say, we'll put a small cut around the areola and remove the fibroadenoma from that. In
Very
young
painful.
nulliparous girls, try to avoid that periareolar incision because you will cut some major milk ducts there and nerve supply to nipple. So it is better to use a subareolar like Gallert-Thomas approach or lateral memory crease incision and go from the back of the breast rather than cutting near the nipple areola where the major milk ducts or the nerve supply to the nipple will be damaged.
Yeah, that's a very valid point that sir has put.
And the nipple nerve supply comes from T4, fourth thoracic segment. of the intercostal nerve. And this was first told to us by Dr. Cooper. So if you search on the internet, Google Cooper's breast book. So the breast book written by Dr. Cooper, Sir Aston Paston Cooper, that is full name, in 1840, 1840, itni old book hai, and he had done extensive dissection and found that the nerve supply of the nipple is from fourth thoracic nerve, T4. So please do read that book. It's a very interesting book. It's free on the downloadable on the internet. Cooper's breast book.
So many information, sir, through this forum.
And please do encourage all the participants to go through the new chapter in Bailey and Love, 28th edition, where there are many videos are attached. And Professor Sandeep Kumar has edited that chapter, where he has added the Lucknow Cardiff Nodularity Scale, which is a new scale for measuring the nodularity of the breast. So sometimes ladies come with predominant nodularity, no or minimal breast pain, but major presentation is nodularity. They think that they have cancer because they have a hard lump, but actually it is just benign nodularity. So to record it objectively, Dr. Sandeep has developed a Lucknow Cardiff Nodularity Scale, which is an ordinal scale, and we encourage all participants to go through the chapter 58 in the new edition, 28th edition of Bailey for details. Thank you
very much, sir. And this was really a wonderful session. That it was like my weekend was full of it's very happening weekend that that not only me but all the participants will surely agree that they have. And बहुत सारी information हमने share की, and that those information are of clinical relevance. And I with the comment that we are getting in the chat box, agree to this, like what I say. So that was a wonderful session, and I request if any question is still in your mind, the sir is there to answer you. Or otherwise, now it's time that we should now wind up our session. And thank you very much, sir, for taking out time. Sir, you are under treatment. Still, you took the time to teach us.
No, I am just having some light therapy. No, but please do share the ABCD rule. Dr. Sandeep and myself have written ABCD rule for breast diagnosis in Indian Journal of Surgery. So please do share the link to that. And A for asymmetry of the breast, nipple areola or axilla. B for any blood from the nipple. B for any blood vessels prominent. B for any bulge in the breast. C for color change, color of the nipple areola or the breast. And D for any deformity, any dimpling, any discharge, any destruction of the nipple areola or destruction of the skin. So ABCD rule is good to teach PGs or even MBBS students and nurses. ABCD rule.
Yes, sir. And sir, now that you are in our group and you are also a group admin, I request that anything of relevance related to breast endocrine, if you find, please do share us with all the participants in our group, so that there is a continuous medical education that we do through that group, sir.
Thank you.
Now, I formally thanks to all the faculties, Dr. Anurag Srivastava sir, for accepting our invitation and being part of this program. And because of his sole presence, this program became quite happening. And we learned a lot from you, sir. Thank you very much. And I'm very thankful to Kirti ma'am. Because of her, this program became more lively. And because the interaction, the gynecologist and the breast surgeon, it is very, very important. And I expect that we together, the gynecologist and as a breast surgeon, we have a long journey together and to make remarkable standards in the treatment of breast pathologies. Together, we can make a difference. I am thankful to Chani. She is my darling. Like every time I just ask her, okay, you have to do this thing, and she's always there to help me out. Thank you very much, Chani, for joining us today. And I'm very thankful to all the participants for taking out their precious time. And I hope they also learned along with us. And they will try to implement all these information into their clinical practice for the betterment of patient management. Friends, it's my These meetings are recorded meetings. So as a protocol, we upload all these meetings on YouTube. So because of any reason, if you were not able to attend or some part of the meeting you were not able to attend, please don't worry. It will be the link will be shared in the group, and I request you to please like, share, subscribe to our channel so that you regularly gets any update related to breast and endocrine that we put on our channel. So friends, as a promise, next month, please mark it the last Friday of the month, that is May, now only, because if you are interested in endocrine sciences, next month we are going to discuss about hyperthyroidism and its management. And believe me, it is going to be a very practical session. We'll try to know how to prescribe the medicines, what are the pros, cons, drug interactions, everything we are going to discuss in that session. So please mark your last Friday of the next month, now only. The details will be shared soon. And with this, now I request you all, you may now leave the meeting. Thank you very much for joining us. We look forward for more such meetings, more such.
Thank you, Dr. Sudhi, for the opportunity. Namaskar, namaskar. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Chani. Thank you everyone for joining us. We may now conclude the meeting and you can now leave the meeting. Thank you. Good night, sir. Good night, everyone.